Today I'm going to show you my list of 10 incredible everyday carry knives that really should cost way more than they actually do. And as usual, the links to buy, the prices, even the coupon codes will all be listed for you down in the description. And if we're meeting for the very first time, hey, I'm Jay. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and consider subscribing. If you're looking for knife reviews, they get right to the point. Now, the knives on this list, they're not just here because of the blade steel. It's like the whole package, like everything that each individual knife gives you for the money. And make sure you stick around till the end because there's going to be one bonus knife that's like the exact opposite of all the others. I think it's overpriced and that it should cost less. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Number 10, this is the Hao Ming folding knife. Now, this is one big boy with it's a 3.75 inch drop point blade in HCR13 MOV, and it is a thick chunk of steel. That's 4 millimeters. So, if you happen to have larger hands, hey, you should be more than okay with this 4.8 inch long handle. It even has that fidget factor with the flipper, or you got the thumb hole, and watch this drop. Oh, is that nice? One thing that really surprised me was this zipper pouch, because come on, how many $19 knives do you know of that includes one of these? And yeah, there really are some edges that that could be rounded on the handle, and I'm not crazy about that branding on the blade. Yeah, unfortunately it's on both sides, but what's more important here? The writing on the blade, or come on, how the knife functions? I got to tell you, I've seen knives that cost like 2 to 3 times as much that don't have anywhere near this good of blade centering. Number 9, from SRM, this is the 9201. There is actually 2 versions of this knife. Okay, so there's this one with it's got the G10 scales and a D2 blade for about $30, or there's a newer version. Now that one has FRN scales and the blade is HCR13 MOV, but it's only going to cost you $20. But what makes it such a great deal is that you're still getting like the same version of their axis lock, but for $10 less. Plus, as of this video on Amazon, there's a coupon right now for an extra 5% off. I know that's nuts. There is, though, something about this specific style of clip point blade. Man, it just really speaks to me. I love the shape. Number 8 is from Gerber Gear. This is the ZILCH. All right, to be honest here, a 7CR 17 MOV blade steel, that really doesn't excite me. But, there's just a lot of other stuff that's going on here that make this knife really worth checking out. When I first took this out of the box, no kidding, I thought, just by holding it in hand, I thought it was a $30 knife. There's just like way too many little details that just make it seem way more expensive than the $19 price tag. And, for a blade that's riding on washers, look at that. That opening action is so good. And you can see that blade, it just flies open with very little effort. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can open it up. You got, obviously, the thumb studs on both sides. And then there's also like a little fuller, or nail nick, I guess, whatever the heck you want to call it, that you can absolutely use to go ahead and, just spidey flick it open. Now, this knife, it's not gonna drop shut. No way. So, if you're looking for a fidget knife, this sure isn't it. Now, the ZILCH is ridiculously lightweight. I'm talking just barely over like 2 ounces, which, makes this thing just perfect for like an office carry. And I really do appreciate what they tried to do here with that, with that faux back spacer. I mean, it adds a little bit of detail to it, but you know what? The first thing that it made me think of was a chip clip. How about it? I mean, that would actually, now that I think about it, that'd be kind of cool. If a pocket knife could like double as a clip for your open bag of potato chips. Sitting at number 7, I got a CIVIVI. This is the Dogma. All right, now we have to pretend that this is actually the G10 version with the thumb hole, okay? So picture that in your mind's eye, because at about $47, for a knife with G10 scales and a D2 blade, that really might not seem like that good of a deal. And, if you compare this to other budget knives with D2, no, it really isn't. But for a CIVIVI knife, oh yeah, it's a really good deal, because it is actually the least expensive knife that they sell in D2. And like I said earlier, there's more to it than just the steel. I think it's a really nice looking design with a classic like hollow ground clip point blade that does slice very well. And, it's got the whole fidget thing going on with the two different opening options. You got the flipper or the thumb hole. I mean, in this case, it's the fuller. And you've even got a very generously sized forward finger choil. And top it all off, yeah, you get a 2-position deep carry pocket clip. Wow, what else could you want? Number 6 is going to be a Ganzo Firebird. This is the F7601. All right, truth be told, this is actually one of my all-time favorite budget knives. I mean, it feels so well made, and if you've ever handled one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it's a lot of fun to carry and fidget because of their version of the axis lock. It also happens to be one of the very first Ganzo knives with a ball bearing pivot. Now this blade, okay, it's going to be it's 440C, which, hey, many years ago, 440C was considered a very premium knife steel. And, it's known for its excellent wear and corrosion resistance. I mean, it has pretty decent edge retention. I mean, it's not a very tough steel. So it's often compared to AUS 8. Now 440C, it is a little bit harder than some steels, but like a common budget steel like D2, it's not, which, D2 is going to have both a higher hardness rating and even better edge retention than 440C. Number 5 is going to be a SOG. This is the Terminus XR. You had to know that this knife would be making an appearance, because at $84, they really do give us a lot for our money. Let's go ahead and just start with the most obvious benefit here, and it's going to be that S35VN blade steel, which, was designed to be an improvement over S30V. And, for all intents and purposes, it pretty much is. I mean, S35VN, it's a steel that's known for its excellent toughness, along with its wear and corrosion resistance. Now, while the edge retention, it is very good, and it's much better than quite a few other steels out there, but, it's not going to beat something like a higher end S90V or M390. What really makes this knife stand out, I mean, other than the XR lock, I mean, you get 3 different ways to open it. And, at the time when this knife was first released, there were not many knives that could make that claim. Number 4, finally, a blade I don't have to wipe off. It's the Rake P801. When I first bought one of these a few years back, it was an even better deal, because I think I paid under $30 for it. I mean, I know we're only talking about a few dollars difference, but hey, 20-something dollars sure looks a lot better than 30-something. But let's start with that blade. I mean, that 14C 28N Sandvik, which, has excellent toughness. So it does not chip or break very easily. It does have just enough, it has enough chromium to be considered stainless, which means it has the very good corrosion resistance. So if you live somewhere high humidity, hey, you should be just fine with this steel. Edge retention is going to be pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as something like D2. Now, this may not look like it, but it is a very durable knife with, it's got the stainless steel scales and, yeah, it's got the frame lock. Now, both of which are things you don't usually see on a $30 budget knife. And the action, oh yeah, that's good to go. Number 3, this is going to be a big boy from Cold Steel. Yeah, that is the SR1 Lite. This is a knife that I honestly did not expect to like as much as I do. Well, because of the size of this thing. I mean, it's not really the most practical knife out there to carry. I mean, it's pretty darn big with that's a 4-inch clip point blade, and it almost weighs about 7 ounces. That's like about as much as a buck 110. Now, knives with a backlock, are not usually the best to fidget with, but I really think that this SR1 Lite, it really does it changes all that, because, it's super easy to flick open, and it does kind of drop shut, with one quick shake. And now the this GripX handle, it does feel kind of plasticky, but I expected that. I mean, for around $40, okay, we get the very same triad lock that is found on the more expensive Cold Steel knives. And look at that. You know what? Let me open this monster, because that is a 4.8 millimeter thick slab of 8CR14 MOV steel. If you're looking for like a true hard use knife that, you could just beat the heck out of and like not feel too guilty about it because of the price, oh man, this is your knife. Number 2, how about a Kershaw? This is the Link. It's mainly because of the 20 CV blade that this is one of the best deals out there for a knife, that has a steel that's classified as a super steel. I mean, for around $80, you're getting 20 CV is an M390 equivalent. Now, I don't consider it a compromise, but I know that some of you might not care for the speed safe assisted opening action. Doesn't bother me, but I'll be the first to admit though that I am, I'm not crazy about aluminum scales. They don't always have the best traction, but hey, then again, it's not going to chew up your pants pocket either. So that's a plus. But what really sets this knife apart is the fact that it is made. Yeah, this thing is made right here in the good old US of A. Make sure you stick around after this to see that bonus knife. My number 1 favorite everyday carry knife that should cost way more than it actually does is going to be a Knives Plus exclusive. This is the QSP Penguin. Now, the fact that this has micarta scales and an M390 blade is, well, yeah, makes this an incredible bargain. That's why it's number 1. But on top of that, out of every knife that I have ever handled, with bronze washers inside, this, look at that. I mean, it has the best action, hands down. And it's that good right out of the box. And just you wait, once the thing gets all like broken in and you hand it to someone to try out, I'm telling you, they are going to think that blade is riding on ball bearings. But, if you're not too crazy about micarta, you could also go ahead and pay a little bit more for the titanium frame lock version. The one knife that I feel is a little overpriced and it should cost less, it's going to be the Honey Badger in D2. This really is, this is a tough one for me to admit, because I friggin' love these Honey Badger knives. I mean, it just has so many features that I look for in a knife. I mean, look at that. Come on, good looking drop point. It's got amazing action and the multiple opening options, but $63 for you know, for it, a liner lock with FRN scales and a D2 blade, that just doesn't seem right to me. You know, and it's weird because I was one of, if not the first channel here on YouTube to review a honey badger knife. And I know back then when I first got it, you know, I was gushing over this thing about how great it is and, you know, how good of a deal I thought it was. But now it's, I don't know, it's almost like I come full circle with it by admitting that this D2 version is a little overpriced. And right about now, there's a video on the screen that I personally picked out for you to go ahead and watch next. And hey, if you haven't already, consider subscribing if you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. All right, hey, I got to run, but thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care.